Hello, perfume lovers and freedom fighters. My name's Tom.
My name is Galen.
Welcome to your 15 minutes of FUME, the show where we at Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab love to sit around and talk about perfumes. Just kidding.
Not today.
Not today. Again. Here's where we're at. It's been days and days of protest all over the country, nay, the world, with people in countries everywhere protesting the death of George Floyd at the hands of the police, as well as the horrible systemic authoritarian racism that this has that this represents.
Yeah.
So amidst the clamor of protest and the constant police helicopters and everyone you've ever known or are related to going fucking nuts on social media, it can be easy to lose sight of what exactly is being asked for and what productive changes can come from all of this. So we just thought today we would go through and take a look at the demands issued by several prominent Black organizations and see what they have to say. And, maybe it will make a difference to somebody to hear these coming from a white person in a dress. All caps is warranted. Anger is warranted.
Yeah.
Grief is warranted. But
Yeah.
just in case, you haven't heard what is asked or have been too upset to really think about it, we're just going to dig in and see what these organizations have to say. Okay? So, first up, we have the demands from the NAACP. So you may have seen these posted on social media. They've given 4 demands. Number 1, a ban on the use of knee holds and choke holds as an acceptable practice for police officers.
Fair enough.
The use of force continuum for any police department in the country must ensure that there are at least 6 levels of steps with clear rules on escalation.
Also fair enough.
Okay? Basically what they're saying is that the thing like the snap judgment where an officer felt threatened and shot somebody is no longer an excuse for death. It's just not an excuse. If you're a police officer, yes, you face danger on the job every day. That is your job. But your job has rules and protocols. And if you break those rules and protocols, then you are subject to consequences, which, believe it or not, is just not something that is a thing right now and hasn't been for basically forever. The third is each state's Open Records Act must ensure officer misconduct information and disciplinary histories are not shielded from the public. Recertification credentials may be denied for police officers if it's determined that their use of deadly force was unwarranted by federal guidelines.
What an idea.
Okay. All right, I'm listening.
Yeah.
And then last, implementation of citizens review boards in municipalities to hold police departments accountable and build public confidence. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. Those already exist. Here's the deal. They're completely ignored. To the extent that they are able to do their work because of obstruction and cover-up within police departments, they are basically completely ignored. The police hold too much political power. They hold too much authority in communities. They make up too much of a part of a city's budget. So if you're like, oh, my city has a citizen review board, and like, okay, look, just listen. Part of what I wanted to do this video about is I saw a friend post these demands on his Facebook post, and a friend showed up to basically shoot them down, in that nice white person way, where it was for example, the ban on knee holds and choke holds, that will never happen. This will never happen, this is not possible, this is not sustainable mentality is
why we're still here.
It's why we're still here. And
Yeah.
I wrote to this person, I said, watching white people squirm and try to bargain with these demands that are just at this level which, by the way, either exposes, someone's ignorance about, like, how all this works, or they're feigning that ignorance because they have a vested interest in these, the status quo being upheld. Anyway, this is why it is so important that these demands, and the other ones that we're going to read, serve as a mere starting point for much greater change. Because we can't even get here without everyone stepping in and, like, explaining why this is not possible. Mm-hmm. This is not something that we can do. It's just not an option anymore. So those were the demands by the NAACP. Then let's see. If you go to Black Lives Matter on Instagram right now, you'll be directed to a petition, and the petition is simple. It's just 3 things. They say, we demand acknowledgement and accountability for our pain and injustice, which cannot happen if people, for example, are pretending that it just isn't happening or didn't happen or doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. That's just,
or saying, this will never happen.
Right. Or, that's not me, that's not who I am. Number 2, we demand divestment in the police force. And number 3, we demand investment in the health and property of our communities. And when they say divestment in the police force, what they're asking for is things like not having the police be part of, like, a public school campus. Not having them included in the budget of, like, various community protocols. Overall, the funds that we provide the police could be routed to other services that actually help people. If the police wanted the funding that they're currently receiving from the public at the level they're currently receiving, you'd think they would be behaving in a way right now that would seem to encourage it. Those 3 points are on the Black Lives Matter petition that you can find on their main Instagram. And then I have another post from Movement for Black Lives, and their statement is, we call on localities and elected officials across the country to divest resources away from policing and local budgets and reallocate those resources to the healthcare, housing, and education our people deserve. More officers, guns, jails, and prisons are not a solution to long-standing problems of racial disparities, injustice, and police violence. We demand police-free schools across the country and an end to the use of police officers in public universities. All public institutions designed to serve the people must cut ties with the police in the interest of public safety. So, a lot of overlap with what I just said. Now, these organizations are all different organizations. Not every organization, black or otherwise, agrees and sees completely on eye to eye on how certain things should be done. But what we're seeing is a lot of clear overlap from organizations everywhere supporting all people. And that means that this movement is not as fringe as people may have you believe. People are asking for extremely reasonable things unanimously, and there's nothing radical about supporting that. So we've been posting some of these accounts and demands on our social media so that people can see them. I just wanted to make sure that we as a company who have the following that we have can reach out to people who might not know where to begin looking, or might be overwhelmed by the amount of information out there, or the contradicting accounts of what all of this is supposed to accomplish. Mm-hmm. It's fine to be afraid. It's fine to be uncertain about the future. But you cannot, at this point, pretend that you or your uncle or whoever knows best about how this should go and what the appropriate outcome should be. Any questions? And I do mean that. We at the lab have been making donations to NAACP and to Black Lives Matter. We are spreading links wherever we can. We will go back to selling perfumes eventually, but we're living in a city right now where we can't even leave the house after 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Please, everyone, I want you to do what you can to share this information, spread these demands. Like, dare your fucking, aunt to explain to you why it is unreasonable, given everything we've seen in the past week, why someone would want cops gone from a school campus. That what have they managed to prevent in terms of violence on a school campus in the past couple of years? Anything? So, like, I'm hoping that this is going to hit people in a more receptive area now.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of people who are shouting if they're telling the truth. Don't be afraid of people who are angry if they're telling the truth. We shouldn't have to speak calmly about this.
No.
But, you know, it's not even noon, and I'm saving my shouting for later in case I need it.
Yeah.
We really appreciate the support from everyone online. We appreciate everyone sending us links and pointing us in directions, things that are worth sharing. We can't get to all of it, but we're here, and we stand for so many of you who live in places that you don't feel where it's safe to speak out on these things. Just know, you know, you're part of this too. And we will resume our normal broadcast as soon as we possibly can.
Be safe. Be smart. Be kind.
Mm-hmm. Be here. Be present. Be pal.
Be pal.
Just kidding. We would have to blow it at the end on a dumb joke.
Just one.
That's fine.
know.
I think we can end there.
One joke.